90% of the jobs created, they fund 60% of all investments and provide more than 80% of government revenues. And I don't think Kenya is any different. However, sustainable and inclusive private sector growth does not happen on its own accord. It actually, government plays a critical role in supporting this economic growth by providing good policies, strong institutions, and efficient public goods and services to ensure that the private sector can really thrive. In addition, governments must also commit to develop and sustain those institutions that implement, oversee, and regulate those policies. This is the enabling environment that encourages really the private sector to invest. It then dictates that a well-coordinated and efficient public sector is imperative to drive economic growth. We look forward to a public sector that runs with a private sector business mindset, ensuring that government delivers on its promise to the people of Kenya. Running Kenya as a business, suppose we would have Kenya Incorporated. This is what we look forward to, which is why today we celebrate performance management in this sector, and we congratulate the public sector on what they're doing this morning, celebrating public performance management. Your Excellency, the Kenya private sector has played an important role in supporting performance management initiatives in several ways by providing expertise in various ways, tools, and technological support, among others. For example, at KEPSA, we advocate for policies that support the growth and development of businesses, that promote transparency, accountability, and efficiency in operations of ministries, state corporations, and tertiary institutions. KEPSA also advocates for policies that create a level playing field for all businesses, regardless of their size. This enriching policy does help to deliver on results. For example, in 2012, the MSE Act was a KEPSA initiative which helped draft the bill, and through our partners got support to have it sponsored in Parliament, which created the MSE Authority and the MSE Fund in 2012. Capacity building is also an important area where we work together, and KEPSA provides capacity building programs for ministries, state corporations, to equip them with necessary skills and knowledge for enhancing delivery. For example, during the COVID period, we developed together a COVID economic response program where we worked together in a time of crisis. Public-private dialogue platforms, we provide a platform for public and private sector consultative dialogue on policy issues affecting the business environment. Through these platforms, stakeholders can share views and ideas and collectively develop solutions to develop common challenges. For example, we saw through the ease of doing business, Kenya moving from 156 to 56 in a period of 8 years. The e-government initiative is something, going paperless, that I know Your Excellency you're very passionate about, is something where we've been advocating, and together we are looking at solutions to do that. Business ethics and integrity, we provide training on business ethics and integrity to promote responsible business practices. This includes training on anti-corruption, responsible business conduct, and sustainability. For example, the Bribery Act in 2017 was actually fully sponsored and developed by Safaricom. So corporate governance, we have we partner with government to deliver better governance. In 2018, we had the MCAC, Multi-Stakeholder Initiative, where all arms of government went to Bomas to really look and commit on how we can reduce corruption. KEPSA also partners with other institutions to promote innovation and entrepreneurship, which can lead to job creation and economic growth, such as sharing best practices. We continue to share them, including performance matrices, evaluation criteria, initiative structures that have been proven efficient in operational performance. We also collaborate in joint ventures by building partnerships. For example, we have a program, the Ajira program, that jointly we have implemented with the government, and by 2022 we have 1.2 million jobs that have been created. We have youth that are actually working right now in the public sector. I think we have 153 jobs that are digitizing the judiciary. and has actually changed the way that the judiciary does its work. Monitoring and evaluation, while we may not be directly involved here, we conduct surveys in the private sector companies that determine our experiences of working in government. And this is what actually, which we suggest for areas of improvement. So ladies and gentlemen, as I come to a conclusion, there are a few critical areas that require urgent attention from all stakeholders to improve public service performance. Number one is dealing with corruption and improving governance in public offices. This is an area that we've spearheaded through the Business Code of Ethics, Supplier Code of Ethics, the Bribery Bill, and we have done corruption risk mapping. We also have organizations such as the UN Global Compact that really promotes anti-corruption. Able to serve Kenyans better and make them more modern using technology and encouraging innovation. Promoting inclusivity and equitable access to opportunities, especially for the marginalized, youth, women and persons with disabilities. Improving the welfare of public servants, remuneration, healthcare and housing. And finally, allow me, if I may, propose that perhaps top ministries from the CAS, the CAS, the PS, and down to director level should look at signing performance contracts that used to be there when we had actually begun this in 2004. Overall, the private sector continues to play its role as the engine for growth. We remain committed in supporting public sector performance by providing an expertise, tools, and technology that would help public sector organizations to improve performance and achieve better outcomes for citizens. KEPSA also appreciates all public servants and pledges to continue playing a critical role in assisting them in improving their performance. Congratulations to all those this morning, and we can't wait to see what the rankings are. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ferona. Your Excellency, we also have a representative from the World Bank. Invite Mr. Spad Khan to give his remarks.
President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency, Cabinet Secretaries, Members of Parliament, Principal Secretaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Is key to the government's and the country's socio-economic growth. We applaud the government of Kenya for the tremendous efforts that have been put forward through streamlining this process. I would like to highlight especially the performance contracting system that has served as a benchmark platform for not only other countries in the region, but outside the continent too. We congratulate all the ministries, departments, and agencies that have participated in this process and identify areas that are working well, but also those that need a little bit more attention. The government of Kenya has been advancing reforms on strengthening service delivery performance, supported from the World Bank to the recently closed Kenya Devolution Program. We continue work with the Kenya Accountability Devolution Program, funded by multiple development partners, many of them that are here, and technical assistance in the development of Kenya Integrated Performance Management Policy. We would like to appreciate especially our development partners, the Danish Age Development Agency and the British FCDO, for having partnered with the World Bank to provide this support. A streamlined and standardized performance management system for both not just the national but the county government also facilitates the use of an integrated approach and tools towards service delivery. The linking of planning, budgeting, work planning, performance contracting, staff appraisal, M&E, coupled with an incentive system is critical for completing the value chain in service delivery, as we have seen in best case performances around the world. Lastly, but also very importantly, it's important to clarify the mandates of the various ministries, departments, and agencies to correct any overlaps that may exist, to look at the requisite organizational structure and the skill mix for each of the NDAs to deliver on their mandate. But I guess most importantly, a robust citizen engagement mechanism helps to strengthen the delivery results for the Wanjiku, which are the ultimate client for all of this work. It is for these reasons, Excellency, that we encourage the Government of Kenya to advance with the implementation of this policy and also have a legal framework around it to kind of strengthen it in the long run. It will definitely become a game changer in the approach in managing performance across the public service, both at the national and the county level, and show a way forward for other countries struggling with similar issues. Excellency, the adoption of an integrated whole-of-economy approach towards service delivery performance will require your continued leadership, vision, and support. We from the World Bank side like to affirm our commitment to continue working on this both at the national and county levels. I wish you and all of us the best of luck as we continue on this journey. Thank you once again.
Your Excellency, I now invite the Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, Mr. Felix Koskei, to give his remarks.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Cabinet Secretaries present, Principal Secretaries and Senior Government officials, ladies and gentlemen, I feel greatly honored to participate in this very momentous event that epitomizes the government's resolve and commitment be held accountable for its decisions and actions. There cannot be a greater measure of boldness and honesty. I commend the Principal Secretary and her team under the leadership of the Prime Cabinet Secretary for putting this event together. Your Excellency, the release of the report on evaluation of the performance of ministries, state corporations and tertiary institutions marks a key milestone in the governance and management of public service institutions. The role of performance evaluation in the instilling the principles and values expressed in Article 232 of the Constitution cannot be overemphasized. Your Excellency, public institutions have been entrusted with the custody and management of enormous resources and power on behalf of the citizens who in turn have expectations that their resources will be managed transparently and for their benefit. Holders of public offices must therefore be held accountable for results and for how they use these resources. Your Excellency, the performance contracting approach adopted by the government 19 years ago has proved a useful tool for accountability, entrenching a performance-based culture in the service, as well as continuous improvement, efficiency, and effectiveness in service delivery. It gives us an objective yardstick for examining and questioning our attitude and approach to public service and thinking deeply on what it means to be a public servant. Your Excellency, performance contracting has over the years been a catalyst of fundamental change in the service, and going forward, it will remain a key tenet of the comprehensive public service transformation initiatives that your government has committed to. Through Executive Order Number 1 of 2023, you graciously mandated my office with leading and overseeing the promotion of ethics, good governance, efficiency, and effectiveness in the provision of public service through deployment of the right skills, values, and leadership in the Kenyan public service. In this regard, Your Excellency, we have taken decisive steps to embark on a comprehensive public service transformation journey covering all the key aspects of service that includes human capital development, transformative value-driven leadership, fit-for-purpose institutional arrangements, efficient and effective service delivery systems, digitization and digitalization, retooling the public servants with private sector culture and thinking, and over and above all, ensuring that each and every service that is being provided is citizen-centric. This is with the aim of entrenching in the service the agility and the resilience to respond to the demands of a highly dynamic operating environment. We remain mindful of the many challenges in the public service by the effects of COVID-19 pandemic, rapid technological developments, intergenerational workforce, and highly demanding and discerning citizenry. Your Excellency, progressively, the service will therefore require aligning individual performance to institutional performance and ultimately to national performance with the aim of bettering the livelihoods of the citizens and increasing political accountability. In this respect, arrangements are underway to ensure that the next cycle of performance contracting incorporates all the commitments Your Excellency has made to the citizens as expressed in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. We are convinced that a highly performing citizen-centric service is our nation's greatest guarantee for sustainable development. And with this, Your Excellency, we in the public service remain fully committed. To end, Your Excellency, I would want to take this opportunity to invite Prime Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, to come and make his remarks. Welcome. Sorry, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Public Service and Gender and Affirmative Action. Welcome.
Thank you, Ops. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Prime Cabinet Secretary and the host, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, Cabinet Secretaries, Principal Secretaries, other senior government officers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The official release of the report on evaluation of the performance of ministries, state corporations, and tertiary institutions for the financial year 2021-2022 is a key milestone in the calendar of events in the performance contracting cycle in the public service. Indeed, the large number of guests present here today is a clear proof of importance accorded to this exercise. Your Excellency, our role of the public service is to formulate, interpret, and implement the government's policies, programs, and projects to improve the livelihood of citizens. Transformation of public service in terms of attitudes, culture, and management approaches is a necessary condition to undertake this vital role in order to ensure delivery of quality services to the citizens commensurate with the taxes that they pay. One of the successful performance management approaches that Kenya has adopted for the last 19 years is performance contracting, a tool that has ensured a shift from processes to tangible results in public service. This has in turn ensured efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of public services. Your Excellency, the Kenya Vision 2030 identified performance contracting as one of the public service reforms that would intensify efforts toward building a public service that is more citizen-focused and results-oriented. The adoption and implementation of performance contracting in public service supported the initiative of performance management has ensured that public institutions consistently deliver their mandates. This is supported by the fact that performance contracts for the MDAs incorporate key national priorities as well as global development. As the saying goes, what gets measured gets done. And the reverse is true. What does not get measured does not get done. This is why the public service has embraced performance contracting as a yardstick for measuring the impact of service delivered to the citizens. In view of these arrangements are in place to ensure that next cycle of performance contracting, which will be the first under the Kenya Kwanza administration, commencing on 1st July 2023. Performance contracting guidelines have been reviewed, commitments agreed upon during the cabinet retreat held at the beginning of the year. Your Excellency, na wadau wote, kazi imeanza. Na nikimnukuu Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Rais William Ruto, kwa maneno akisema, kuna kazi imepata mtu na mtu amepata kazi. So tafakari hilo. Your Excellency, with those few remarks, it is now my humble duty to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the host today, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, to make his remarks. Asanteni sana.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. Ruto, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, my colleague Cabinet Secretaries, members of Parliament, members of the Judiciary, Principal Secretaries, representatives of the Council of Governors, state corporations, and all senior government officers here present, ladies and gentlemen, fellow public servants. Your Excellency, I will seek your indulgence to speak slightly longer than my colleagues, because I think today is an extremely important day for the entire public service and for Kenya in regard to service delivery. So here are my remarks. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this important occasion for the official release of the 18th cycle report on evaluation of the performance of ministries, state corporations, and tertiary institutions for the financial year 2021-2022. I really emphasize that, 2021-2022. Please underscore that because the new government has just stepped in, so the results that you are seeing is because government is in perpetuity and we are releasing the results as they were in that financial year. Your Excellency, the Kenya Vision 2030 guides the development of a robust, well-functioning, citizen-focused, and result-oriented public service as a key foundation for economic growth. To this end, your government is committed to facilitating creation of an environment that fosters Kenya's transformation process transformation agenda, in short, better, and the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. This will be done by sustaining the upscaling of gains made through the deepening of devolution, public sector reforms, and enhanced infrastructure development and socio-economic development. Your Excellency, performance contracting has increasingly become an important tool for improving public sector performance. If implemented well, it is an instrument that should assist the country achieve its long-term economic development policy goals. To this extent, performance contracting has been embedded in the public service for 19 years now and codified through the Public Service Commission Performance Management Regulations of 2021 as a means of managing performance in the public service. Your Excellency, the first level performance contracts are signed annually in tandem with the government's budgeting cycle between yourself and the respective cabinet secretary, after which they are cascaded downstream institutions. So in a few weeks' time, we shall be signing performance contracts with you. Your Excellency, whereas implementation of performance contracting has been on course, its potential is yet to be fully realized. Hence, we are now committing downwards to ensure that all public servants are working towards the common good of the country. Invariably, performance of the public service must then be integral in driving the economic transformation agenda as an offshoot in realizing the Kenya Vision 2030 that seeks to transform Kenya into a globally competitive, prosperous country. But, we are 7 years short of Kenya Vision 2030. A conversation around Kenya's Vision 2063, when Kenya turns 100 years old, must begin. Meanwhile, the rallying call in performance contracting, as Aisha has said, is what gets measured, gets done. Adoption of performance contracts ought to establish uniformity, consistency, and objectivity in measuring public service performance. Hence, its implementation must henceforth fast-track the linkage between planning and budgeting phases to clear outputs and outcomes. Your Excellency, upon implementation of performance contracts in the public service in 2004, economic growth rose to a record 7.1% in 2007 from 0.6%, the second runners-up award for best innovation in citizen-centered service delivery, Public Service Day held in Zimbabwe. As a result, Africa, Malawi, Sierra Leone, and Lesotho have domesticated the Kenyan model of performance contracting in the management of their public service. Performance management the world over has been evolving, and I am informed the same in place in Kenya. First, I am informed that in 2020, the Public Service Performance Management Unit commenced automation of the performance contracting processes that were previously carried out manually. This is being done through a fully homegrown online government performance contracting information system. The ultimate goal of this system is a fully automated end-to-end system where all relevant performance contracting processes are carried out online. It is worth pointing out that the system ensured continuity of service delivery during the challenging COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, the GPCIS should be emulated by other efforts to automate service delivery. Institutional commissions and independent offices while taking cognizance of their autonomy. Its rollout will re-engineer the organizational, operational, and institutional framework for guiding performance management services in Kenya's public service. Thirdly, my office is in the process of developing a public service performance management bill, which will be the overarching law to fully anchor the performance management function in the entire public service institutions at both levels last financial year. But in the subsequent financial years, the focus of the performance contracts will be based on, among others, the priorities agreed during the cabinet retreat held at the beginning of this year in Nanyuki, chaired by yourself. In order to realize this, all public institutions must ensure that their respective key priorities are included in their performance contracts. Your Excellency, one of the internationally accepted performance management principles is accountability and transparency of a government performance management system, which means providing factual feedback about the performance of government. Therefore, the annual performance evaluation and release of the report for the financial year 2021-2022 marks a momentous occasion since it provides the baseline for performance commitments in the next financial year and also some reflection. Allow me, therefore, to reflect on a matter that should not escape our collective attention. Your Excellency, just before Easter, the Public Service Commission 2021-2022 annual report indicts ministries, departments, and agencies for incurring colossal financial penalties through court awards because of failure to honor contractual obligations. The Public Service Commission reveals that most losses are occasioned when state entities enter into contracts without adequate budgeted and approved funding. Common breach of contracts begs the questions: do frequent breaches of contracts arise out of inept due diligence or sheer negligence by MDAs? Do staff in procuring entities understand procurement laws and that it is their responsibility to ensure contractors fulfill their obligations and that government receives the goods and services it paid for? Or should we conclude they know the rules but choose to ignore them for our benefit? The legal framework for public procurement is set out in Article 227 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and in several sections of the Public Finance Management Act, number 18 of 2012, and the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015. Your Excellency, public resources are not infinite. Constant losses cannot be entertained. Under Section 44 of Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015, accounting officers take responsibility for failure to ensure procurement is within approved budgets and procurement plans. Indeed, that section required provisions of Section 68 of the Financial Management Act. Compliance with the law is therefore not optional. Section 79 of the Act makes it mandatory for public officers to comply with laws regulating public procurement. We cannot condone laxity, wastage, and losses anymore. It is time to strictly apply the penalties accruing from Section 72. Accounting officers failing to manage public assets to achieve value for money will henceforth be penalized. The same applies to application of Section 74(4). Public officers who breach accounting responsibility by making or permitting expenditure that is unlawful will be surcharged. I have deliberately highlighted these issues because they are at the center of perennial loss of resources arising from lost cases in courts of law. Going forward, we will soon issue a clear framework to to address these deficiencies and make officers more accountable. Your Excellency, in order to fulfill the commitments made to our people, it is paramount that the whole public service honestly puts to practice the tried and time-tested result-based performance. To ensure that this is done, my office will ensure compliance with the annual performance contracting cycle timelines. This is besides holding quarterly meetings with principal secretaries to monitor achievements of agreed performance targets. In this context, a motivated human service resource remains core to performance management and service delivery. In order to promote productivity, innovation, and creativity in public service, youth and personnel living with disabilities require to be motivated. My office is developing a framework for an under 35 Employee of the Year annual award for this category of public officers. The award may be in the form of promotion and scholarships for such employees who demonstrate commitment and excellence in performance, innovation, and creativity that translates to effective public service delivery. This award will also enhance the visibility of target employees who exhibit high leadership growth potential across the public service. In conclusion, I do recognize the support and contributions of all our partners and collaborators in ensuring the institutionalization of performance management in the public service. Asanteni sana. It was a bit long, but I thought I had to convey this message. It is now my singular pleasure to invite His Excellency the Deputy President, Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua, to come forward and make his remarks and invite His Excellency the President.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Commander-in-Chief of our Defense Forces, Dr. William Ruto, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, all Cabinet Secretaries present, the Head of the Public Service and Chief of Staff, Principal Secretaries, Senior Government Officials. Good morning or afternoon. It's almost there. Good morning. Your Excellency, I'm a retired public servant, so this occasion is momentous for me. But you know, nowadays I don't want to speak much. When the characters who try to stop my boss from working keep off, I also keep quiet. Therefore, we are happy, Your Excellency, you have the latitude to steer this country into economic prosperity. And the people before you and the entire public service, Your Excellency, is your machine for development. Your Excellency, a vibrant, motivated public service is good for the economy of this country. A motivated and vibrant public service is good for the country. President Mwai Kibaki, the celebrated president of this republic, succeeded in turning around the economy of this country by empowering the public service and allowing them to work. Your Excellency, since you came to the office, you have dignified the public service. Before you took over, Your Excellency, the public service was demoralized. They were demeaned and treated like outcasts. Your Excellency, in the last 5 years, senior civil servants were harassed, hounded, and treated like criminals. We have the celebrated and infamous case of Kamau Thuge, who was the PS National Treasury, who was harassed by junior police officers in full glare of cameras, marched from 10th floor of the Treasury downstairs by constables, put in a vehicle, locked up, only for them later to say he had no case. He had already been demeaned before his family, his friends, and society. Your Excellency, we want to commend you for affirming that senior public servants need to be handled with the dignity and decorum. We are not saying by any means that investigative agencies where there are issues of impropriety, of mismanagement, of misappropriation should not do their work. All we are saying is that before you can conclude that somebody has done something wrong, protect his or her dignity. Because these public servants have families, they have friends, they have people they go to church with, and it is wrong to humiliate them and treat them unfairly before you have a case against them. Your Excellency, since you came to office, this has not happened, and we want to urge all those who are interacting with our public servants to accord them due respect and dignity, because these are the people who are the engine of your development. Finally, Your Excellency, I invite all the public servants to take time to read, understand, digest the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, the plan, so that they understand your vision, they understand your programs, and they understand the bottom-up economic transformation agenda as your tool of developing this country. Once they have understood the plan, they will make your work very easy. With those many remarks, I request you to be upstanding and help me to usher in with clapping the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy President. Let's take our seats. Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy President, Mr. Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, Cabinet Secretaries present, Principal Secretaries, Chairpersons, and Chief Executives of our state corporations, Chairpersons, and Principals of our tertiary institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good afternoon. Today we witness the culmination of the annual performance contracting cycle and the commencement of analysis, reflection, and improvement of future performance on the basis of evidence-based evaluation and feedback. Although the performance management framework is now in the 19th annual cycle, it is important to note that it emphatically and systematically incorporates, articulates, and enforces the values and principles of public service as laid down in Article 232 of the Constitution of Kenya, and thereby enables the public service to become the foremost champion of the national values and principles of governance set out in Article 10 of our Constitution. We must do our part in full to ensure that this event and the process it represents underscores high professional standards, highlights efficient, effective, and economic use of resources, demonstrates responsiveness, promptness, effectiveness, impartiality, and equity in service provision, enhances transparency and accountability, and promotes meritocracy, inclusivity, and diversity. The imperative of ensuring that the provisions of the public service to citizens meets a specified constitutional threshold makes it inevitable for us to insist upon a more standardized, rational, and evidence-based management regime. Last week, I engaged public servants about the constitutional stipulations regarding how government goes about the task of realizing citizens' expectations through the public service. In our constitutional dispensation, the public service is configured to become the optimal instrument to effectively mediate between the government's commitments and citizens' aspirations. In formulating the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we went to great lengths to conduct exhaustive consultations with Kenyans throughout the country. These consultations enabled us to formulate the policy and strategic basis of our manifesto, as well as formal charters containing actionable commitments to be implemented through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. We understand our governing mandate to be anchored on the deep understanding we have with the people of Kenya, and that my performance contract as president is set out in the Constitution and the agenda I sold with my team to the people of Kenya. My performance contract, therefore, sets out targets that the government must achieve in feeding every Kenyan, providing affordable housing throughout the country, achieving the universal health coverage, establishing necessary infrastructure for the expansive growth of the digital and creative economies, as well as creating millions of jobs through aggressive expansion of micro, small, and medium enterprises, including industrialization. In other words, I'm saying that while we have the privilege to serve in the public service, it's not a right. We are close to 700,000 people in the public service out of 50+ million Kenyans. It is a privilege for us, the few of us, to serve in the public service. But that privilege comes with a responsibility on what do we do to create opportunity for the millions who do not have the privilege we have to serve in the public service. What is it that we are going to do so that they too can have an opportunity to work, to get a job, to do a business, and to go about their lives as the rest of us are doing? And that comes with huge responsibility on each and every one of us that have the privilege to serve in the public service. We understand our governing mandate, as I have said. And as I have said, my performance contracts, therefore, sets out targets that the government must achieve. My team in the executive assists me in the performance of this contract through contracted delegation as authorized in the Constitution, and the programs, projects, and tasks required to be performed are relayed onward to various departments and agencies and ministries. Under Article 132(3)(b), I shall exercise my mandate to direct and coordinate the functions of these ministries and government departments, thereby ensuring that your effective performance satisfies the government's contractual obligation with the people of Kenya. We all have a contract with the people of Kenya, and that contract is going to be effectively measured by performance. And I agree that that performance must be measured. In other words, you will have all the necessary authority and support to deliver successfully, because through you, I am committed in every item indicated during my performance evaluation when I return to the people to seek a fresh mandate. Therefore, oversee the execution of government mandate to the highest degree of achievement and the best level of performance. I know we have had to have some very unpleasant discussions with many of you on many occasions. I've had to make telephone calls, had to engage in various ways. We've had sometimes very interesting conversations, and I must commend many public servants who put in their very best. And I see it, and we witness it, and the people of Kenya feel it. I know that we've also had occasions when we haven't quite been in very good terms. And we've had to, do what we have to do. Let me give you maybe a few examples. I must commend the partnership between the ministry responsible for the Hustler Fund. In a record 3 months, we were able to put together with the private sector. I must commend the CEO of Safaricom, the CEO of Airtel, the CEO of Telecom Kenya. They came through, sat on a table with us, and in a record 90 days, we had a product that today 7 million Kenyans are borrowing every day and they pay. We have a product that has given us the opportunity to lend 26 billion shillings in a record 5 months. We have saved close to 1.3 billion, and we have 7 million Kenyans borrowing daily on that platform. I know many people have asked me, especially those of us in the political class, that how can we have such a successful product and we are not making enough political, noise around it so that people know it is happening. I want to tell you, relax. 7 million Kenyans know what that program is doing to them. Let me also, in a very special way, just commend some of our performers. My economic advisor, David Ndi, Mohammed Hassan, Davis Chirchir, and the young man at EPRA. Those 4 gentlemen have done something phenomenal in our country. They have managed to put together a program that has taken us away from looking for $500 million every month to buy our fuel needs, which was slowly snowballing into a crisis. Today, as a country, we can buy fuel in Kenyan shillings, something that many people never thought it would be possible. Again, I want to commend these good people. And let me tell you that from this month of April, all our fuel marketers, all the people in that space, they will be able to buy our products, fuel products, in Kenya shillings. And it will remove pressure on our dollars. In fact, in the next 1 month or so, you will see dollars coming down, the exchange rate coming down in a very phenomenal way. In fact, in my estimation, in the next couple of months, the dollars will come, the exchange rate will come below 120 shillings. Maybe 115, you never know. So, and these are outstanding actions of public servants who are contributing towards what our citizens are expecting. Let me also, commend one lady. I don't know whether Pamela Mutua is here, of KTC. I don't know whether she's here. That lady, we must clap for her in absence. Because we are managing a situation in the country where we have to supply food relief to citizens across the country. And we have to buy these items from or the private sector and other players. As I was, working with this lady on fertilizer and telling her we must bring down the prices, I was telling her we must bring down the prices of how much we are buying the food items. In the course of doing all that, we have some not very good people, I must say this. We have some not very good people sitting somewhere in another ministry, a department called Public Works. And those people in a department, I don't know, called Materials Department or something, Supplies Department, the people in that supplies place, they were busy increasing the price of commodities. Imagine, in the middle of a food crisis, somebody is sitting in a public office and, negotiating himself and, trying to take advantage of a problem. And they were increasing the prices, imagine, of supply of some of these items. I don't know, rice was going up from 5,000 to 7,200. So this lady tells me, but Mr. President, why is the government telling us to increase the price at which we buy rice from 5,000 to 7,000? This is not the private sector telling us. It is people sitting in government. Those people in that department supplies. Tutawashtaki kwa Mungu. Surely, that is why I say the people who do well, the people who serve with dignity and sincerity, like Pamela, who told me, Mr. President, we are being told this, please stop these people. And I had to stop them. Today, and I want to thank the office of the Deputy President, today we are buying those food items at between 4,500 and 5,000. Not the 7,000 those supply people were telling us. So, we must evaluate everybody. The bad guys in supplies department, we must deal with them. And the good people like Pamela, we must reward them. Because that's how this is going to work. Let me also say one more thing about my good deputy here. We had a program, we were registering farmers. For 5 years, we managed to register only 1 million farmers. But just in 2 weeks, this deputy of mine mobilized the whole public service because he was a former public servant. And they registered 5 million farmers in 2 weeks. Today, we are giving fertilizer to farmers using a digital platform. Everybody gets an SMS, your fertilizer is ready, come for it. You don't have to queue. We don't have, the cartels have disappeared. The conmen could have no place to steal our fertilizer. For the first time, every farmer who needed fertilizer got fertilizer, and that program is moving very well. In other words, I am saying it is possible for us to do the right thing and take the country forward. And therefore, and I want to speak to you as people who collectively we've been given the privilege by the people of Kenya to serve them, to work for them. We must also make sure that the privilege we have, the opportunity we have, translates into opportunity for the millions of Kenyans too, to have access to a job, access to a business opportunity, access to do their farming, and drive our country into the right direction. Here is our opportunity to unbundle all the commitments in our agenda as determined in the high-level retreat in Nanyuki early this year, and to prepare to assign them for implementation to every department, all the way to every public servant. As we consider the results of the evaluation and feedback, we also have to deliberate with greater intention about the design of the forthcoming performance contracts, their implementation and evaluation. Above and beyond the broader constitutional obligations and the strategic objectives in terms of our plan, I am very keen to observe how the next performance management cycle enhances the realization of the national values and principles of governance throughout government, at all levels of governance, and in all parts of the country. In particular, how much the public service affords equal opportunities for men and women, persons from all communities, and persons with disability will be of foremost interest. Equally, critical will be the mainstreaming of a comprehensive agenda for Kenyan youth, including training, apprenticeship, industrial attachment, and internship, access to government procurement opportunities, and entrenchment of the digital and creative economy. Further, it is of paramount importance that the performance management mechanism meaningfully reflects our resolve to enhance efficiency and reach of government services through digitization, automation, and deployment of various information and communication technologies. Kenya is a regional, continental, and global champion of a just transition to clean, green industrialization. Our credibility in this cause is founded on demonstrable commitment to green up our national power grid, restore degraded landscapes and ecosystems, conserve forests, water towers, wetlands, and other carbon sinks, and promote heavy investment in wind, solar power, and in addition to hydro and geothermal power. We are also promoters of e-mobility and sustainability across every sector. This magnitude of our commitment to the green agenda is further demonstrated by the fact that Kenya will host the Africa Climate Action Summit in Nairobi between 4th and 6th of September this year. I therefore expect our performance management framework to incorporate commitments that are consistent with our obligation under Article 42 and 69 and commensurate with our credentials as a global leader in green industrialization. Because of the urgency in delivering our commitments and providing services to the people, the need to ensure that every shilling of our increasingly scarce resources delivers its fullest value, and the requirements of transparency and accountability, the government is determined to reinvigorate performance management as a means of motivating, facilitating, and coordinating the public service in our delivery of the mandate that has been given to us by the people of Kenya. This juncture, I must emphasize the need to ensure completion of viable, budgeted for, and already commenced projects and programs because before we embark on new ones, I ask cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, chief executive officers of state corporations, and principals of tertiary institutions to use performance contracts to ensure that projects and programs are completed on time and within available resources. As I have said before, we made a commitment that we are going to steer the country away from the cliff where we were heading in terms of our economy. First initial step was to reduce the amount of borrowing that we were heading in the wrong direction. We did decide as a government that though we had agreed with our development partners, including our multilateral lenders, on a fiscal deficit of 6.2% of GDP, we deliberately decided that we're going to come down to 5.7% of GDP as our commitment to a new trajectory of ensuring that Kenya lives within its means. And as a government, we live within our means. In the same spirit, I have had a candid conversation with the ministry responsible for infrastructure, and the 910 billion worth of projects that were already in some form committed. We've scaled it down, and I had a long meeting with all the agencies under the Ministry of Transport and Roads to scale it down. I think we have shaved another 250 billion out of that so that we can stagger the projects, deliver on the ones that are of immediate, already started and rolling, and then do the others later, because we have to live within our means. I want to assure you and assure the country that we are well on course in running a stable economy that is not dependent on unnecessary, excessive borrowing. I know we had an issue of delayed salaries, which is, somebody said, it is the first time that we are having delayed salaries. Yes, it is the first time we are having delayed salaries. But it's also the first time we are having such monumental debts. I want to assure the country that that is managed. We have turned the corner. All I assure the country is the commitment I made that we are not going to borrow money to spend on recurrent expenditure, including salaries. That is the position of the government of Kenya. We will not do that. We will look for our taxes, and I want to commend the Kenya Revenue Authority for what they are doing. They are today at 95% of their commitment. Thank you, Madam Acting Commissioner. They are doing a wonderful job in a very difficult terrain. We have experience of people who are not used to paying taxes. But we have said that this is no longer going to be the animal farm. All of us are going to pay. So again, let me say that that is now behind us. We are moving in the right direction, but to assure the country that we will not continue the old tradition of borrowing money to pay recurrent expenditure, to pay salaries. We are going to pay salaries from our own resources. We are going to carry out our recurrent expenditure using our own resources. And we have moved our fiscal deficit to 5.7%. Our target is to take it to 5% next year and 4.4% the following year, so that we can work within the parameters of the resources that we can raise as we grow our own tax revenue. I have also instructed the Treasury to look at all the taxes, to have a tax review of all the taxes. There are some taxes we we certainly are going to reduce in the coming budget, because some of the taxes are punitive and they actually encourage more dodging than paying and compliance, so that we can make it much more easy for citizens, corporates, and all the people that work with us to comply with taxes. Institutionalizing performance management is both desirable and rational. This is the rationale behind the decision to assign the government's performance contracting mechanism to the Public Service Performance Management Unit in the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and I am confident that we shall all begin to experience considerable improvement in public service delivery. As we hold the rest of public service to account on this matter, I will definitely hold the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi also on a performance contract to make sure that this actually happens. I also know that the institutionalization of performance management in government is going to be further anchored in a clear policy framework through the Public Service Performance Management Bill, once it undergoes the necessary developments in readiness for legislation in our Parliament. In keeping with our digital agenda, I am delighted to note that the Government of Kenya has made progress in developing the government online performance contracting information system. This system will promote efficiency, promptness, and transparency, thereby delivering the possibilities, benefits, and advantages of digital technology to the management of public service delivery. A result-oriented, effective coordination and commitment to go beyond the extra mile must be the new features of our approach to service delivery. Let us each do our part in strengthening a performance culture through the public service. To do this, let us eradicate all practices of sabotaging and discouraging high standards of performance in public service, and instead motivate, reinforce, encourage, and support them. Let us also remember that the performance management mechanism is one more platform on which Kenyans will subject our servants to intense scrutiny and align our conduct accordingly. Let me say here again to thank the Senate and National Assembly for acceding to my request that we provide a platform where the people's representatives sitting in Parliament can interrogate our administration by affording a platform for cabinet secretaries to be able to answer questions directly in Parliament. And I am happy that that process is going to begin tomorrow, so that cabinet secretaries can get to the floor of the House, answer questions from the people's representatives, explain our actions, and create a better interface between the executive and the legislature in a mechanism that ensures greater accountability of the government of Kenya. Because I am a very strong believer in accountability. It is the same reason that hopefully through the bipartisan process, we can also get our opposition away from street battles and also afford them an opportunity with a leader of opposition infrastructure funded by the government of Kenya, again, to perform their function of holding government to account. We have absolutely no issue. In fact, accountability works best for everybody. Accountability is best when it is anchored around institutions. That's why the institution of Parliament will hold our executive to account. We want to build the institution of the opposition, as is guaranteed in the Constitution, as also another institution to hold government to account, because accountability is actually the measure of any performance of any administration. And I hope that this will be part of the outcomes of the engagement, the bipartisan engagement that we have now agreed on, so that we can move our friends in the opposition from running battles in the streets, unnecessarily destroying people's property, creating chaos and anarchy, back to a civilized place where we can engage constructively and be able to hold the institutions to account. I think we all agree that we are better off with institutions, building institutions that will assist us take the country forward, rather than having running battles in the streets with sophias on top of heads. The annual performance evaluation results to be released today will form the benchmark for performance in subsequent contracting cycles. Against this, it will be reasonable for Kenyans to expect incrementally enhanced performance in the spirit of continuous improvement. Similarly, time has come for us to brace ourselves and be ready to embrace the discussion and feedback, compliment and criticism, praise and condemnation that may be instigated by the results to be launched today. That is, in any case, accountability at work. I assure you of my full support as you implement this year's performance contracts and those in future. I now officially release the results and report on evaluation of performance of ministries, state corporations, and tertiary institutions for the financial year 2021-2022. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless our great country. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. With your permission, would like to now move to the unveiling